A new silence had settled over the lighthouse, different from the one Mara had felt before, heavier, pregnant with anticipation. The air smelled faintly of damp stone and old wood, but beneath that lay a metallic tang, sharper this time, like the memory of something recently disturbed. Mara's footsteps echoed softly as she moved toward the far wall, where yesterday's observations had hinted at irregularities in the stone. Her hands traced the surface, fingertips catching tiny indentations, subtle grooves invisible to anyone unobservant. She felt the walls pulse under her touch, a rhythm that seemed to hum in tandem with her heartbeat, coaxing her closer to discovery. Behind a loose panel, she found a faint outline of a door hidden in plain sight. Her breath quickened, fingers brushing over the cold metal handle. It was heavier than expected, but it moved smoothly, revealing a narrow stairwell descending into shadow. The lantern cast its golden light down the steps, illuminating faint chalk symbols along the edges, spirals, circles, arrows pointing inward as if guiding her. Every step down reverberated through the stone, vibrating under her feet, almost like a heartbeat that wasn't her own. The air grew warmer, thicker, carrying the scent of salt and dust, tinged with the faintest aroma of old parchment. At the bottom, a low chamber spread out, circular and intimate, yet filled with the weight of history. The walls were lined with shells of artifacts, rusted keys, fragments of journals, jars filled with substances Mara could not identify, each humming faintly with some hidden energy. Shadows stretched and danced with the lantern's flame, flickering across inscriptions on the walls. They seemed alive, reacting to her presence, bending subtly toward her, waiting for recognition. Mara ran her fingers along the spines of books and the edges of objects, each touch sending a shiver up her arms, a whispering hum threading through the room. The centerpiece of the chamber was a pedestal holding a delicate, intricately carved model of the lighthouse. Its small lantern rotated slowly, casting perfect shadows across the walls, mirroring the real lighthouse above. She leaned closer, observing tiny spirals etched along the base, identical to the chalk patterns she had seen earlier. A soft warmth pulsed beneath her palm as she brushed over it. It was alive, not mechanically, but as if imbued with memory, with intention. The room seemed to inhale with her movements, the walls expanding subtly, breathing in the rhythm of her curiosity and fear. A sound emerged from the back of the chamber, subtle at first, like a whisper across stone, but growing in presence. Mara's head tilted, listening. The walls themselves seemed to pulse in response, echoes of past keepers, past discoveries, past silences vibrating through the air. Her hand grazed a journal, pages brittle, edges curling from moisture. As she opened it, faint sketches danced across the paper. Spirals, symbols, diagrams of the lighthouse, and notes written in languages she could not identify. Each sketch pulsed faintly in the lantern light, a rhythm she could almost feel in her chest, aligning with her heartbeat. The air in the chamber thickened, scented with salt, rust, and something floral, faint but unmistakable. Mara noticed a shadow shift independently of her movements, not a figure, but a presence, a subtle ripple across the walls and floor. She breathed carefully, tracing the symbols with her eyes, feeling the pulse of a chamber beneath her hands. Each object she touched, each spiral she followed, seemed to vibrate with hidden knowledge, resonating with her energy, acknowledging her understanding, beckoning her to deeper discovery. She realized the chamber itself was alive, a guardian of secrets, an archive of memories preserved in stone, wood, and ink. At the far end, she discovered a smaller alcove, its entrance almost invisible. Pushing aside a hanging curtain of cobwebs, she revealed a niche filled with artifacts unlike any she had seen before: an ancient compass, crystal vials filled with swirling dust, and a mirror with faint etchings along its edge. She reached for the mirror, fingertips brushing against its surface. The reflection shimmered, showing the room behind her, but also subtle movements she had not seen: objects vibrating softly, shadows pulsing, spirals faintly glowing. Mara's breath caught. She realized that each artifact was not simply stored here. They were active participants in the chamber's memory, recording, observing, and responding. A sudden draft brushed her face, carrying the scent of rain and distant lightning. The lantern flame flickered violently, throwing elongated shadows along the walls. Mara's hand hovered over a cluster of journals, feeling the energy thrumming beneath the covers. A faint whisper rose from the stones themselves, unintelligible but melodic, curling around her like a tangible presence. Each step, each gesture, each inhalation she took was mirrored by the chamber, the walls bending subtly toward her, the artifacts resonating softly with a quiet, insistent rhythm. The hidden room was not silent, it was alive, and it had been waiting. Mara turned toward the pedestal again, studying the lighthouse model. The spirals etched into the base pulsed faintly, aligning with the faint whispers that swirled through the chamber. The walls hummed beneath her fingers, and a warmth spread from the center of the room outward, a subtle pressure that pressed lightly against her chest. She felt the history of keepers, of storms weathered, of lights maintained, all threading through her consciousness. She understood, in a quiet, profound way, that this chamber was a living memory, not just of objects, but of intention, purpose, and vigilance. Hands trembling, she traced a final spiral along the pedestal, and a subtle glow expanded from it, illuminating the walls, the shelves, the artifacts, each in perfect detail. The chamber pulsed softly, rhythmically, as if exhaling, welcoming her comprehension. Mara's heartbeat aligned with the pulse of the hidden room. She realized that the chamber had chosen her not merely as a visitor, but as a participant, a keeper of knowledge, a witness to history, a guardian of light. The whisper was gone, replaced by a profound stillness, alive with expectation, as if the room itself waited for her next move, her next understanding. Finally, she exhaled slowly, the lantern steady in her hands. The glow reflected across the shelves, illuminating artifacts, symbols, and spirals, revealing their delicate patterns in full. She felt a sense of completeness, yet also of anticipation. The hidden room had shown her only part of its secrets, enough to teach, guide, and prepare her for what lay beyond the lighthouse walls. Mara understood now. The room, the tower, the light, and the silence were intertwined, alive, and she had become an integral thread in that living memory, tasked with keeping its light, knowledge, and mysteries alive. Her fingers lingered on the pedestal, tracing the spirals once more, feeling a subtle pulse beneath her touch. The feather drifted above a puddle, journals hummed faintly, and the spirals glowed softly, responsive to her presence. She realized the room was a living companion, patient and sentient, waiting for her awareness to awaken fully. Mara knew her purpose was not merely to observe, but to continue the legacy, to safeguard the light, the silence, and the secrets for generations to come.